sometimes you gotta take 2 years off, off a podcast because nobody's telling you what to do. They say you got your own business and it's like you do whatever you want. And it's like sometimes it's pretty good to just fail at it. You can just fail at it and not do anything.
Yeah.
And then you can blame other people or yourself. It doesn't matter. It's just not happening for a couple of years. But yeah, welcome back, everybody. All right. So
just cropping a 2-year gap or something.
Yeah. I think the last one we did with Ashley Cook.
Those were Zoom meetings, right?
No, the last one I did was like this, but it was over there in the main space.
Yeah.
And that one turned out really good, and I was like, oh, that's great. That turned out good. Let's quit for 2 years. Why do people do that, Chris?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Gotta have time and energy to do all these things you want to do.
Yeah, man. How's that working? How is the Ritual Howls doing?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I mean, it's working. Working on new music.
Yeah, working on music. You wrote 20 songs or something.
Well, they're not all usable, but there's 20-something in the process of becoming songs.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them will become songs. I think I would say maybe 12 or 13 might make it all the way to becoming a song.
So 8 for the album, and then.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to do more than 8. I think it's you only have so much time per side on a record before you compromise quality.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have shorter songs, you could do shorter meaning not 1 minute
2.5
songs, 2.5, 3.
Are you shooting for that length? For them?
No, not necessarily. But there's 3.5. There's one that's 4.
You get punk rock with it.
Yeah,
It'd
the last record, My Trash Mind, I think it's 2.5.
Really?
I think so.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
I
it's pretty straightforward.
That's a more.
It's like a rock and roll song.
Rock and roll bluesy thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Verse, chorus, out. That's it. A, B, B.
And start with a verse?
No, it starts with an intro. So intro.
Intro, verse, chorus.
Yeah. Well, intro. Yeah, no, it does. I'm trying to remember. Yeah. Sort of like a little riff and then.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting being there when you guys were writing that album because you guys really got into the music theory of things.
Yeah, song structure and
yeah,
trying to get what we had as riffs and jams into, some structure that is more than just putting it together, thoughtful changes and then and then keeping it simple, but then doing Dark Ceiling has got, I guess it's technically has a coda at the end, which is a outro, but a brand new thing, so in a song structure, you have
first halftime beat.
Yeah.
I like that.
So it's the same notes, but it's a different riff, right? So it's sort of a true coda, where and it's got an intro and it's got, pre-choruses, bridges.
And that wasn't the case in the beginning.
Obviously,
you guys were I remember the songs was kind of just go and stop.
Yeah,
which was cool.
Some, they had structure, but they weren't, they weren't we're doing it this and this. We would jam, and then it would say here's the jam, here's how it changes, right? And then it'd go back, and then it would go, or not, right? But it wasn't as thoughtful. Which is not a bad thing. It's just how it was, It's most of the time we jam and it turns into, potential song, and then we turn the jam into a song.
But that hasn't been the case for this album.
Paul's in LA, so
right. Yeah,
everything's been remote.
So it's pretty amazing you're gonna keep the project going because that's usually stops a project,
Oh, you're getting deep now.
Well, I'm just saying.
We're saying. No, it's,
It's harder,
we've been around for so long that it's not something like this could have broken up a band maybe if they were younger.
Yeah.
Or, you know, hadn't been around as long.
Yeah, you guys wrote a bunch of shit already, you know,
Yeah.
so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know? So you kind of have that foundation to kind of fall back on.
Yeah.
But I feel like you kind of cracked the code on the Ritual Howl sound with these songs, you know, so you can kind of just bust them out. You know?
Yeah, but, you know, not trying to follow a code either, right? Like kind of following a theme, which we always do. It's, you know, sometimes it's not as obvious maybe, but there's always a theme to like the lyrics and the song and the approach to the music, or at least the approach to the lyrics, which inform the name of the song, which, you know, informs the whole album, like, name. So there's always sort of like a theme.
Is there a theme for the new one?
I mean, it's kind of, yeah, we talked about it, is, you know, I'm trying to rack my brain because it's just been a conversation, but, you know, it's so early still that I don't remember, like, nothing's solidified. There's some imagery that I've been playing with for the cover that helps inform, but I haven't, you know, there's no words been written about, like, the theme, so I haven't, like, usually, like, the songs, the lyrics fortify the initial idea. We're like, oh, yeah, that was that theme. This one hasn't gotten that far yet to go, you know, exactly what did we want to do for the theme? But there is, yeah, I forget what we talked about already, the band, but there's something there, yeah, which has informed some imagery and...
Got to get a Paul on here, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if he remembers because we all just discussed it briefly on a call.
Right.
You know, and I was asking him, like, okay, so what should our theme be? And we discussed it. We're like, yeah. And then it wasn't like, you know, it's not in a Google Doc anywhere like we would normally kind of do to start filling out the lyrics and the potential names of things. But there is something. And I mean, I had an initial idea for the music early on, and I'm starting to, like, I don't know, not be so rigid about that. But it, you know, it was sort of like maybe like if there was a record made between Turkish Leather and Into the Water, like what that sound like, you know? And it's sort of like following that idea and, you know, but like I said, I'm maybe not as rigid about that idea, like following that as much as I was when I was starting to write the music.
Yeah, now you got the songs that kind of shape themselves. Right?
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, maybe it's a little to this or something, and
Yeah.
so like sold on being like, oh, it's not following that idea, so.
Do you find it hard to write songs? It seems like it comes pretty easy for you.
Yeah, no, I mean they just keep coming out, you know. I just have to like filter out what. Yeah, at this point, yeah, like it's sort of like sketches, easy to come by when you're doing it a lot, you know.
Yeah, you're in there every day, pretty much.
So if you're not sketching or thinking about things every day, then it's harder to do a sketch.
Yeah.
You're sort of like, oh, it's a blank canvas. But when you're doing it, you're flexing that muscle. You just have to like filter out the best of all the shit that's spewing out. Because like, yeah, there's just, I mean, you know, if you got a foundation, like what I usually do is I start with like a drum kit that I want to create or certain synth sounds that I want to use. And then just, okay, those are my tools. Now let's, you know, apply some of the theme, the ideas of what I think the structure should be and, you know, the beats, sequences, and then go forward. But I'm deviating from that, like I'm saying, like, so I'm not saying like this has got to be the drum kit.
So you usually start with the drums.
Yeah, I think most of our stuff usually starts with at least having a drum sequence ready so that the riffs can be applied to them. You know, in this situation, it's weird or different rather, because we're working remotely. So I'm writing these drum sequences, and then I'm also writing riffs.
Yeah.
Like in melodies, you know, bass parts, synth parts, guitar parts, and all this stuff. Not vocal parts. I'm not even presuming to like.
Yeah.
And then creating like a demo of an idea, and then Paul like taking that demo and playing that riff his way, you know, and almost like writing a Paul riff or a Ben riff
Yeah.
And then letting them take it from that. It's kind of out of necessity too, because we're working remotely.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
You think if you developed an AI, you just feed all the Ritual Howls songs into
Yeah,
it?
I'm kind of that right now.
You're you're like the
processing.
AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not like a deliberate thing, like I'm writing a Ritual Howls song. I'm writing Ritual Howls. I'm writing for Ritual Howls, and it ends up like that.
Yeah.
Like
That's pretty cool.
Ben's bass sounds like this. So when I'm writing a demo with his bass, like a bass line, I'm using his sounds, or I'm mimicking it as best I can, fuzzed out or, mid-tones, not a lot of high tones, and Paul with his twangy. Maybe I'm adding more distortion, more fuzz to what he would do in hopes that maybe he would crank it up for that particular thing, but he could totally take it and clean it up and change the notes,
Yeah. That's pretty interesting.
But it's up to, sort of like, here's some skeletons for things that could be songs, and some of them I'm more specific on, like, oh, this is definitely a song, and this one's like, I don't know, maybe we take this and take song 6 and put it into song 12. And like,
So at a certain point, you guys are gonna have to get together, do that.
I mean, we're doing it remotely. Ben and I have also been in the last couple weeks meeting up, and I'm showing him what I've wrote already, and he's learning the bass lines, and then he's, making them his own. Yeah.
Adding stuff.
Yeah. Like, here's a loose idea. It goes to A to whatever, and then he'll maybe hold on to that and add a C in there. I'm like, oh, yeah, that works,
That's pretty interesting how technical it is, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you can't be rigid about, you can't be sacred either, like, you have to, like, I mean, unless you're really struggling to write stuff, then everything you write is, like, so important. But when it's just spewing out of you, you're like, yeah, okay, here's thoughts, here's sketches. And you can't be so sacred so, like, someone like a Paul or Ben can't change it, like, or rigid or whatever. You just have to, like, here's idea. What do you think? That sounds great. Add to it, change it. Yeah, and Ben was actually playing some synth stuff last time we were, like bass synth, which I think is actually a good idea. Like, I'd like to see him do more, like, bass synth stuff. I think he could, like, I kind of have all the textural and the lead stuff covered, but if he wasn't playing the bass, like, I could see in the future, like, he switches over to his synth, like a mono synth or whatever, like a MS-20 or a fucking...
There's a lot of those now. Like
Yeah.
a Moog 37.
Yeah, or like the Mother or
Yeah.
the Sub 37.
Whatever
Yeah.
it's called, yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. So he was just put his bass down for this song and started playing the synth bass.
I can see him really getting into it, getting a
Yeah.
whole rack of synth or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I haven't mentioned it to him, but since we've been jamming the songs and he played some synth in the studio, I was like, oh yeah, that could be a cool change up.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't have to just, and you could have fuzzed out bass synth too. That could be run into a pedal.
Oh, well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, you can
create
a chain.
I've been watching. There's a show from the '70s. I think I was telling you about it, called Midnight Special. The Midnight Special. It's from the '70s. It was like a variety show, or it's all music, and
Oh, right. Yeah, you did say something.
yeah, and it's just '70s. I think it ended in the '80s, early '80s. But so different bands, they just jump to the next band, and that band will play one song and whatever. But this guy was playing the Rhodes, and he had it going through a distortion pedal. And so I wasn't looking at it first, and I heard what I thought was a guitar, a bass, and a drums, but it was a guy on a Rhodes going through distortion, playing like power chords, and then leading a little bit with his right hand, and it was totally sounding like a guitar.
That's pretty interesting.
It was interesting. Yeah, like he definitely had it tweaked out.
What band was that?
I forget. There's a lot. I was surprised how many bands I never heard of.
Yeah.
From the '70s. Like I know I've heard this band before, but I don't remember the name.
Think about how many bands there are now that we haven't heard of.
Yeah, and there's no show like that to
Yeah, we were talking about that. There's
yeah.
you have to trust the algorithm, I guess,
Yeah.
essentially, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like
and even then, you get it, you're like, oh yeah, that was cool, and then you move on. There's no, like, I mean, I think a video of a band playing, you know, live is way more powerful than a potential suggestion in an algorithm.
Yeah, you play one song on Spotify or Apple Music, and they recommend other stuff, but it's like they don't care about your feelings, and they don't really. It's like, how well do they know you? Probably pretty well because of all the stuff you already listened to, but like they don't know. Maybe you'll find something, and like I was listening to the Plastic Noise Experience, and then I was listening to Current 93. You know?
Yeah. So now
what? Like, there's no.
Sure.
How do you bridge that?
I mean, they try, right? They fill it in with some shit.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's ridiculous. You can't. I mean, I was reading an article in the Guardian about artists trying to make money. I think it was the Guardian. Yeah, it was just touring artists trying to make money.
Yeah.
Like some at the level of Richard Howls and some bigger and some smaller. Everybody's in the black or the red.
Yeah, they're losing money on tours.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that thing Kevin Key was talking about. I don't know when. By the way, check out Kevin's Patreon. Yeah, he's talking about some tour in 2016 that Skinny Poppy did. They lost like 60 grand or something.
Europe, yeah.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, nobody makes money, you know, and I think, you know, I've told you this, but the trick is to not worry about making money with music.
Well,
and if it comes, great. But
if you got a job, then that's a good thing.
I mean,
but if you're really trying to make it,
that's part of making the trick work is that to get your money some way, and then make your art without concern with trying to make money. But money's going to come in, and the idea with this trick is to just cover the expenses.
Yeah, the break even.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good measure. That's crazy that became the measure of success now for musicians.
Yeah.
It's like break even on a show.
Yeah, I mean, because you're not getting...
Instead of like actually...
Yeah.
It's like you're going to sell all these records and it's like, okay, cool, that covered the cost of making the record. Maybe you got $2,000 or whatever the hell. Maybe even got 10, whatever. But that's... If you split it between 3 people...
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, time to quit your job? I don't think so, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's...
And if you think about it, like how much money would a band have to make to let's say you, Ben, and Paul, for all you guys to quit your side hustle, which is not really a side hustle, it's a jobs, you know, like full-time jobs or whatever. You know,
yeah, I mean, we all have full-time jobs.
You would have to make, you know, I don't know, at least 300,000 comfortably would be nice.
I mean, you're talking about per show or just like a tour?
A year.
Within the year, I mean, that would depend, right, on how much touring you did. So it really comes down to per show, because then you start doing the math of like, okay, how much shows can we do to make that?
Like, yeah.
You need you need thousands a show to make.
If you're getting $3,000 a show, right?
Yeah.
And then you did.
And then you toured then how much touring can you do, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
Like, how much do you need to make money, right? There's that number. Then how much can you handle?
Well, it's 365 days in a year.
Yeah.
And a quarter.
I mean, you know,
So, I mean, if you did 150 of those days, I guess during like half a year.
Yeah, I mean, now you're talking about like Metallica or something, you know. That's
but
why
that would
they
be,
do that.
You know, that would get you in that ballpark.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of fucking touring.
That's a lot of touring. And that's not straight either. I mean, you're going to do 30 here, wait, 30, and then maybe do 60, you know, and then, then you're going to have to add another 20 here and there to get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a couple 30-day runs, and then
like 3 30-day runs a year.
3 30 days plus, you need
plus
another 30. You need another, I mean, again, if you're trying to make 300,000, then you got the expenses, like all the shit, like to do that, to sustain that, you need tour managing, you need some way to carry out the gear, right? So you rent something, unless you purchase a van or something like that. And then you have the expenses of buying the merch to then sell the merch. Then you have your daily expenses. And so now.
Yeah, so we're literally talking about touring every other month.
You'd have to, but you would only, as long as you're making $5,000 a show, $3,000 a show. Because if you're making $700 a show,
well, then
not,
you're touring all year.
Well, but yeah, you know,
even if you are touring all year, I don't even think.
Like you can't physically do it, right? So like, yeah, you have to factor in what you can handle.
I mean, there's guys out there sort of doing it, I guess. But.
Yeah. I think this article said that the only person making money was a solo guy. He made like $3,000 at the end of like 30 days. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not bad, but
I mean,
I don't know.
It's not
sustainable. Our friend Joe Mutant, he's touring all the time. I don't know. I think if you tour all the time, you do like get into a higher bracket. Of getting paid. Ideally.
And you have to cut out a lot of comforts. Like maybe you might have to sleep in your car, or you might have to sleep on the floor.
Well, hopefully by the second year of doing that, I mean, because I don't think it's sustainable forever. I think you can only do it for like 2-3 years maybe or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, even if you wanted to do it for real and like, fuck it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
After a year or two, you're like, I can't do it. I'm going to,
It's like bar jobs,
Yeah.
I mean, you're a bartender.
Yeah, I mean, you can.
And people that, I mean, I feel like people do better with those now, but really it's like a 2-year thing, and then you start kind of slowly going crazy and becoming an alcoholic.
Sure.
Because you're at the bar and you're around liquor all the time, around people that want to drink all the time.
Yeah.
And I think there's also like health things with touring because you're around liquor there too.
Yeah, you got to know when to.
Yeah.
And you're always getting it for free. Usually when you get to the venue, they give you tickets or they cash you out. And
yeah, because you want to play, you want to get into the mood. But I mean,
it's either
by
almost
day 10
always alcohol and sometimes food. You know what I mean? So it's always alcohol, and then you have to try to find food. At least for us, like we've had more success in Europe because they do the whole package. They feed you and they give you money, or they either feed you or they buy you out, like sort of like a per diem, and then, but they're still getting free alcohol. So it's like you can go crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
that's why the trick is to not try to make money with art.
Oh man, that is horrible.
Yeah,
because you want to make money.
Yeah, I mean, if I could, I would too. I would stop working.
Well, I think your films and your art stuff is actually probably more. Likely to make money.
Yeah, I guess objects are probably easier to make money in the sense that there's a thing to be sold, commerce, right? Like the value of a musician playing a show in the U.S. Is lower than in Europe. From my
DJs
experience,
too, of course.
Yeah,
I got all these DJs hitting me up from Europe, and they're all like,
they expect amounts.
They expect like $3,000 a show or something.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I don't know what you think I'm running.
Maybe
here,
have the best chances of making money.
You come in there
with a
thumb drive, you're fucking ready to go.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
You get put up, you get transportation sometimes.
And the thing is, like, people in the crowd, like, some of them care, but like 85% of people don't care that it's a DJ.
That's kind of part of like why the show, like the value, like all this stuff costs more, and there's more fans than ever, but the fee to an artist to play is the same. It hasn't changed. It's like you get your $500, $600, $700, and then sometimes more, and then sometimes festival money, and it's the same. That hasn't changed. So like the venue isn't paying more to accommodate the cost of living and the cost of everything going up. So you just do your thing and you make your little $700 or sometimes $1,000 and sometimes festival money.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, and we already talked about this, we already had all these conversations, guys, but like when you're a small band, you sell 30,000 records or whatever, and people are like, you're a fucking loser. Yeah. You fucking sold 30,000.
Yeah, you get dropped from the
record label. Like, that's some bullshit album.
Yeah.
Now, if you sold 30,000 albums, you'd be the fucking...
Oh, God, you'd be the indie king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would anybody buy an album, if they can stream it, right?
Yeah.
For $10 a month or whatever the fuck Spotify is or Apple Music. I don't want to split the audience here or whatever.
Yeah, music is commodified to the point where it's so passing. You know, it's new, it's old, whatever it is, it's right here in front of you, and then it's gone because the next thing pushed it.
Yeah.
You know,
There's so much of it coming out too.
It's like water or shoes. Like, you just need it. You expect to have it. You want the new one when you want it, but you throw away the other one when it's done.
People really like music, though. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not
the
like,
value. Yeah. People still like it, and there's more people liking music all the time.
I feel like younger people really feel the music,
Sure.
and older people have this nostalgia thing about it. It's usually or something. Yeah, I mean, I'm not knocking on
I think
older
that's just
people, but
in general.
I'm just saying.
People.
Yeah.
Nostalgia.
Well, I was thinking about this, right? Like, as you get older, like when you're younger, you have this experience, and it's like your first experience with something. Like, let's say first time you heard Skinny Puppy, and you have that etched. Well, now you're fucking in your 40s, and you've heard that fucking Skinny Puppy,
Sure.
10,000 times, or whatever, right? So now you have these layers of memories of it.
Yeah.
And it devalues, obviously, the music. And then you compare the new thing to all those layers of you already got.
Sure.
So how could you even have a fresh perspective on a song, and they call this like wisdom or something, because you have this thing inside you already, like these layers, Mm-hmm. But it could be obviously to a detriment where you can't, like in mathematics, you're done by like 21. If you haven't come up with good shit by then, you're fucking a has-been, So I'm just saying, like literally music is a young person's game, right? And but the thing about it, it's like we're obsessed with it, and then we're still doing it, and you can't stop it. And so it's like you're just kind of trapped in it a little bit. But that's okay. I don't mind it. I'm just saying it's funny how that works, So
I mean, in the same breath, though, like it is more accepted nowadays for older people to still be playing. There's a lot of bands out there that everybody likes.
Ageist,
yeah,
it's a little less ageist.
Totally, especially in our type of scene.
Well, it's just been going on so long. Like when it started, like in the '80s when it started, these hot young bands.
Yeah.
There's some of them still going. They're in their 60s, kind of quitting. Skinny Puppy just did the last tour or whatever, Front 242. I don't know. They're still playing, I guess.
Yeah.
But, But, yeah, it is an ageist scene, but maybe less so now. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I see these bands on tour, and they're, in their 40s and 50s, and they're as loved as anybody, Like,
yeah. Well, I think also, like, there's this idea of, like, making it big when you're young. But usually people that do that, they kind of burn out,
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that slow cultivation of, like, taking 20, 30 years to get to a place where you're writing good stuff, like, truly good stuff that you feel good about.
Yeah.
That's really, like, how long it takes, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, unless you're really...
So be ready for the long road, kids.
Yeah.
Sorry,
unless you make pop music or I guess rap, if you're a producer making beats...
You can make all that. I'm going to throw this phone out of the window.
You could blow up and early and make money by selling beats or writing, being on a team of producers for pop musicians.
Totally. I mean, there's young kids killing it, but I'm saying, if they're still making shit at 50, what is it going to be?
They're gonna probably have burnt out by then if they had started so early.
Or if they didn't, it's gonna be the best shit they ever wrote.
Yeah,
you know, because they have all those skills now.
Yeah, I mean, there is a thing too that sometimes, well, it seems like, people get older that did a certain thing well. As they get older, they sort of like soften their production. Like a Trent Reznor or something, where it's like...
that totally happens. Well, he'd like soften after
like he was just like the music and like the Fragile Beyond, right, is just so calculated and so just subdued to the, the dynamics of what I was into and the sounds.
We might be sentimental about the early stuff, but I agree.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, right, that the industrial like revival mentality or the post-punk or whatever, they're all focused on the best, hardest, most interesting version of that music, right? Less about their like the fragile. Like, there's no fragile revival, right? Like that music
No.
is sort of like his own little thing that.
Well, that's like the artist going into themselves.
Yeah,
And then the
yeah.
audience maybe follow, but
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know the numbers behind how the album sold, you know?
Sure.
Because
I'm sure it's millions.
I'm sure
I
it
don't
sold
know.
a bunch, but like, yeah, for me, definitely. Like Downward Spiral, Broken, all that stuff was great. You know?
Yeah.
Super original.
Yeah, like the music.
Ripping off, you know, a number of artists that we like, but
Yeah, ripping
but
off.
still,
I mean, they're just building. He took, right? Like the best is. I mean, the same probably with you is like the music I like now was pretty much formed when I was like 16 to like 20. You know, and
yeah,
like,
there's an imprint there. You can't escape it, right? It's like,
and like that at that time, like the late 90s for me, like some of this stuff was already old, right? Like Skinny Puppy was already old and out the door.
well, it seemed like, when I got into them, also like mid '90s, late '90s, whatever. It was, the '80s seemed so long ago.
Yeah, 80s were far away, and you know
which
what?
is crazy because if you
Like-
think about it now, like 24.
Yeah.
Like if some kid is getting into a thing now and they think, you know, they listen to something from like 2014
Yeah.
or 16.
Or 2004.
Well, 2004
Yeah.
is a fucking
I mean,
lifetime. you
that's because I was born in '83, and I think Skinny Puppy started in '83.
know. Check this out. I had a kid after class. I wrapped up class here, and last night, or as I was wrapping up the class, this kid came by, Laverne. I used to train him in an Eastern Market school and in a Southfield school we had, right? 8 years old to 14 years old, you know? And he came in, he's like, yeah, you remember me? I'm like, no, what, who are, and he's like, oh, I'm Laverne. I'm like, holy shit. Because the last time I saw him, he was 14. And he looks totally different. He's 22 now.
Yeah.
So it's been 8 years, right? And he's like, yeah, I just graduated college. I'm doing robotics, whatever. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know? I just remember doing these hard-ass workouts. It was him, his brothers, and their dad. It was like the whole family. And I was doing these hard-ass workouts with those guys, like totally pushing it. He's like, yeah, I really, like, whatever, helped me with life, whatever. I'm like, cool. But then, you know, we're talking about time and shit. And I was like, yeah, I started training in 2002. He's like, oh, the year I was born. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And that's the reality of getting older.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it's pretty amazing, too.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a whole lifetime, you know.
Yeah. I think
22 years.
You know, there's exceptions to the rule, but I mean, I'm sure there's some kid that's 16 right now and just discovering Skinny Puppy and is going to be into the hardest part of Skinny Puppy or Nine Inch Nails and not into the lightest, you know, whatever. And then I'm sure there's somebody that just discovered Nine Inch Nails and it was the Fragile. That was the first thing they ever heard, right?
Yeah, it might be. It's like, I think it is like the album that you hear first is the one you like of the band.
Yeah. No, because the first album I heard of Skinny Puppy was The Process.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
it was a couple years old. Maybe even that. I mean, what did it come out? 97?
no, it was 94.
I think I heard it in 97 for the first time.
Yeah, so it was only 3 years old.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It was in rotation on some guys.
But then you had to like go back.
Yeah.
through
Then
the
I was like, oh,
discography.
this is great. And then I had to go back and
Yeah.
learn
And like, oh,
what I
that's-
really liked.
The first thing I heard was Vivisex 6, so that set me up.
Yeah, that's a good
I was like,
first here, yeah.
it's pretty good, but it's hard to digest.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely that cusp of their gear and their equipment getting better, right? And them being able to make weirdness and rhythmic stuff.
I think it's the first one that was like MIDI sequence.
Yeah, I think
with a computer.
Yeah, with a computer.
Right.
Yeah, with the Atari.
Whatever they had.
Yeah, or was it the Apple? No, I think they had the Atari.
I think it was an Atari. I don't know.
I know they switched to the Apple II eventually. Apple II.
Yeah, I remember Mike props from various reasons and Parvulus infectus. He when I was hanging out with him in Pittsburgh in the late '90s, he got this old '80s computer, which was only like 10 years old at the time, but it had like
Seems so old.
it would seem like
time.
oh, this is fucking
Green
ancient.
screen. And,
Yeah. But he had like a MIDI sequencer on, and it worked fine. Like it did all the stuff,
Yeah.
you know. did
Was it Logic?
No, it was not Fast Tracker. I forget.
Okay, yeah.
It was one of
the
those
trackers.
Yeah, one of those, I think.
Yeah.
But it was, yeah, it was great. I mean, it did all the stuff. They could lay out parts.
Yeah.
Send the MIDI out.
Was he sequencing hardware?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing you could
that's how
do.
you do it.
Yeah. I mean, some of those Amigas, right?
Yeah.
They did all.
They had some.
And all those
sounds.
Amiga battles that
Yeah.
happened, whatever.
Yeah.
You can sequence their 8-bit or whatever sounds there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think I did. Yeah.
So, no, yeah, but it's amazing how much MIDI hasn't really. I mean, it's changed, I guess.
Well, they have MIDI 2.0 now, and
who's using this? I mean,
it's up to the hardware and software people to implement it. You
Yeah.
know, it's a standard that is available if you want it.
the problem is like all these synth don't have it.
Not yet. They're starting to roll out.
But if you've got a synth collection,
yeah,
you
older
know,
ones.
you're-
Well, there is some retroactive stuff. So like if you're talking to old synth with MIDI 2.0, there are certain things you can do. Like you can recall 1.0 settings if you had it in a software interface. So like you can plug in a DX7 and recall each setting, or at least display each setting, right? Each LFO, each oscillator setting, or the FM style, and you can digitally then manipulate it from that. That's the 2.0. Is like the standard would give you that availability, that connectivity.
yeah,
Which is cool. So that's cross compatible. But then like new hardware, it's got so much. If they build it into it, there's so much. Like one note can have the full breadth of a MIDI, like 512, data points, 16 channels on just one note. Like you can do a lot with just one note with 2.0 when and if it makes sense on the hardware.
yeah. You were talking to that MIDI
Yeah.
foundation. What's this?
His name is Athen, and he is, I think he's the president of the MIDI Association.
It's cool that there's a MIDI association,
Yeah.
honestly, and they keep working on
It's
stuff
a
behind the
nonprofit.
scenes,
Yeah,
of course.
they're making sure that there needs to be that, there'd
yeah,
be,
somebody overseeing that kind of thing.
yeah, because the standardization needs to
Yeah.
be like tight. And you got like people like Apple and Microsoft and Google that are all members of the MIDI Association, and when there's new standards or new specs, they get them so they can update their shit. Same with small startups or
Yeah.
just anybody making MIDI devices.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that voice to MIDI thing kicking, so
Yeah, and that's something I've worked with him. Not on a technical level, just having him be a part of the awareness that we're a virtual MIDI controller, essentially. That's just powered by voice, but any audio passing through it could be used to trigger a MIDI track.
yeah, I still want to try the drums with it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna set it up here.
Yeah.
I'm about to ready to set up my drums here.
Yeah.
Finally, play some drums.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. How good was that Houses of Heaven? Rachel? Yeah.
I forget her name. I just met her that night.
Yeah. No, I think, yeah, that's it. And
Kevin usually has, it's her and another guy. And I've known Kevin for a long time just through the
Oh, really?
record
Okay.
label. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we've played shows with House of Heaven several times and hung out
okay.
with him in LA and
That's cool.
SF when they used to live there. And
So is she like a new addition?
well, I don't know relative to my experience with them, maybe, but I'm sure she's been playing with them for a couple of years.
Well, anyway, Houses of Heaven, great drumming, live drumming.
Yeah.
With triggers and she made these old drums sound really good.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Had drum triggers, a trigger on the drum.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there was one trigger on the floor tom, I think, or
Okay.
the snare.
The snare.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell. I think it was like a light-sensitive light bass. I couldn't really tell. I was trying to look at the hardware. It looked like there was like a magnifying glass almost that was sort of like shooting down on the head.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just like pressure
Yeah, I
or
forgot.
something.
Yeah, I do have a couple of MIDI triggers, just 1/4 inch. You put
Yeah.
them on there. And,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's pretty cool to see though. When you see like a stand-up kit live, it's very industrial. And when it's in a pocket like that, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, you have to be good like her to like, stay in time.
Yeah, like real drummers really bring something to the game, man.
Yeah. There's a live energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that fact that it's not a full kit. It's just sort of the essential things, and then a bunch of pads, like drum pads that you can add, augment.
It is a lot of setup, but I mean.
Yeah, then you got mic shit and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
The show here was pretty cool,
Yeah.
I guess played Chicago the next day to like 600 people, which was good.
I think there was 800 people total throughout the night.
That's cool.
I think the show total was 800 people.
Yeah.
I couldn't see, when we played, I couldn't see past the crowd, so I know there was a lot in there.
Well, I was here, it was about 100 people, right? And, it's funny because Paul was like, yeah, well, the smoke helps because you can't tell.
Yeah.
That's sort of people. You can just imagine a giant crowd. I was like,
yeah, because when you're playing, up there, like I couldn't see past the first people.
Yeah. How do you like that, not having a stage and being on the same level?
I always like doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely more punk rock.
It's punk rock. I am okay with it, but I
mean, I like stages too.
I like a little stage.
Yeah.
Just a little.
I don't like being like the show in Chicago was great, but the distance from us to the crowd was probably like us to the back of that wall.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it was a big gap. You've got a lot of stage, and then the stairs down the stage, and then a press pit kind of thing.
And security.
Then
guys and
the fence.
Yeah,
security. So I'm never usually a fan of those distances. I kind of think the energy of the crowd is.
You want to feel. Somebody here.
Yeah, like I kind of want it to be like, somebody could jump up here, or I could jump down there.
Sure.
That you want that sort of tension. And when you have a gap, I mean. Yeah, it's definitely like more of the punk rock mentality of just,
When I'm doing solo stuff, I do like being on the ground. When I'm, look at this.
Why don't you mute it?
Oh yeah, yes, I should do that. I should do this.
Yeah.
I don't know. See, Samsung phones. Let me tell you something. I don't really know how they work, but. Oh, here we go. Got it. Had to unlock it first. Yeah, man. Yeah, good stuff. And then we're, Mission to the Sound. We're still doing it. It's kind of weird because it's us, and it's, talk about it. But
yeah, I know.
So hey, we're pretty cool and stuff, you know.
Yeah, did you like that thing we did? Yeah, it was cool. Awesome.
But yeah, the project keeps going. We do have a new single out. The old Needle of DC.
Yeah, what's the meaning behind that name? Because it sounds like a drug reference, but I know it's not.
Yeah, it's back from my heroin days. No, I never had heroin days. Kind of wit. I mean, it sounds romantic, I know it's not, but it's like, can you just be? I said when we're playing, it's like addictions are cool until they're not.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
No, I just think, it is, I guess it's a bit about addiction, of like deluding yourself.
Yeah. But I mean, not necessarily drugs, but like.
No, it's the ultimate delusion where you go like, I'm never, or you don't think about death,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you do all this stuff, we have, keep ourselves busy, so it's your whole life is sort of that,
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the needle of deceit,
Yeah.
But really, it's just like all so ephemeral, and you're here for such a short time,
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
No, I mean, the needle is sort of, associated with drug use, but it's the idea of like addiction applied to everything, like doing too much of something.
Doing anything, just take your mind off the fact that, you're here.
Yeah, sort of
here.
like
yeah.
pacifying you by being addicted to something that transports you.
Yeah, addicted to living and addicted to life. And I think it's just, it's not even like I'm trying to say negative, but it is dark because you don't know what's going to happen. But it's just like, you get this needle of deceit of your life,
Mm-hmm.
Some people more than others. I gotta say that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you really try to outrun that time, and it doesn't happen. Can't
Yeah.
outrun it. So
Yeah.
gotta embrace it. So
Yeah, you got to embrace it.
and you gotta embrace it. You gotta do your shit and not, because it's like, in the chorus, whatever it's hour by hour, whatever, day by day, year by year, we fade away, right? So we're fading away, baby. But, go out in style at least, don't be a little bitch about it. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like,
tell 'em.
it's like, complain and stuff. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I don't know. And so, but I think it's pretty good. The song started as a jam, which was cool. Because usually we don't really jam, and then it took like a long time to put that song together too.
Yeah, I mean, it changed.
A couple of years.
Yeah. For a while, there was no drums.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, unlike 99% of our other songs, this one has drums.
This one has drums, yes.
Like
not regular drums.
Yeah, I mean, not, it's
It's not super regular.
Yeah, it's like, I think, like...
The remix has the...
Yeah, the remix has more of a classical, like, industrial drum kit.
Yeah. But I feel like it's like a lot of... It almost sounds like toms.
There is toms in there. That was actually taken from the original song has toms in there, too, on the breakdown, the first breakdown. And then, they're more pronounced in the remix when they are there because there's all the other stuff's not there.
Yeah. And then we got one more song that's on that single, In the Limit, and that's even more like, into industrial beat territory.
Yeah. Sort of classic.
Classic, I want to say like McDowall and the Fixer and whatever, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to unveil that soon. But
We'll see what the kids think about that.
The kids.
Which is not our audience.
No, I
older people probably.
Azara, my daughter, she was like, I was talking about music, and she's like, I want to start a band. I was like, some you're like, I make music. And she's like, yeah, you do okay, Dad. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
Well, she turns out to make millions of dollars making music. I mean,
I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
She has a really good voice, actually.
Yeah. So does Avi. He's on the song.
He is on the song. My 4 or 5 at the time. I don't know.
It was a couple years ago.
It's a couple of years. I think it might have been 4.
Yeah.
Going on 5.
Very charismatic.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
So he's got no problems. He's got a good ear for rhythm,
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knew when to pronounce and when to
hit
it.
Yeah.
Hit the mark.
Yeah, he's good like that. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's weird when kids, hopefully they'll surpass you. And I was thinking about that though, the population shrinkage or whatever. Because we got 2 kids. Mm-hmm. That's like perfect replacement rate.
Sure.
But
You're doing your part.
I'm doing my part, but technically you're supposed to, you're
supposed to procreate more.
Yeah, 3
Yeah.
is like 1 more than the than the allotted. When there's 2 of you, then you die, then you get 2 kids. So it's like replaced. Okay.
Yeah.
But then if you got 3,
want 1 more, you can sort of up the.
You can up
+1. Yeah.
You can get a +1.
Yeah.
So get in there,
Yeah.
You're gonna catch up, Chris. You're gonna get 3 pump them out.
I mean, it's a different world,
Uh-huh.
There's no. We were talking about this where, back in the day, people had kids so that they could help them.
Yeah.
The kids could help the family. And then you didn't have anybody around you, so you made people. You procreated so you could create a community.
Yeah, I guess that's not happening.
No, now we got
Still a lot of people though.
Spotify.
Spotify algorithm telling you what to listen to.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's thankful that we know a lot of people that are into music. So we, all the DJs that we know that are way into music, you know.
Yeah.
And they have their own curated lists
Yeah.
and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I listen to the same 15 things, I think.
Yeah, I think I do too. When I'm at home.
I try to branch out sometimes,
Yeah.
but it's hard.
When I'm with Ritual Howls and we're playing shows, people always are like asking me about post-punk or goth bands, and I'm like, I don't really listen to.
Yeah.
I listen to the standards, right? The
Yeah.
Bajas, the Sisters of Mercy.
Sure.
I mean, I don't listen to them. I like them.
You've
and
listened.
I listened to them. Yes,
Sure.
and
I went to a club when I was 17.
Yeah, I mean, you know, but I don't have an extensive catalog of references of, you know, like I didn't even know about Red Lorry, Yellow Lorry until
Oh yeah.
several years of being in Ritual Howls, and I heard somebody said we sounded like that. I'm like, I've never heard of that. And that they're one of my
Pretty good, yeah.
favorite
Yeah.
post-punk kind of, you know, I guess Killing Joke would be the one band that I knew and have listened to consistently, and that we get sometimes reference Ritual Howls, you know,
Yeah.
just because we're mixing in those types of sounds. I mean, not the twanginess, that's sort of our own thing, but yeah, you know, industrial beats, guitar.
Yeah, it's cool. Killing Joke is still going.
Yeah.
They just played that Sick New World.
Did they? Oh, yeah, they did, yeah.
Sick New World.
Everybody played that thing.
It looked cool. I keep seeing Daniel Meyer from How Job post
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah.
I think he played with Nitzarab.
Yeah, I think he was playing with Nights Are M.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, you know, these guys are going hard.
Yeah.
Seem like a good lineup.
Yeah.
You know, I don't, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff for everybody.
Stuff for everybody. I don't know how you can take in all those bands, though. That's crazy.
Yeah, you got to pick and choose because that list was like, there's going to be overlaps all over the place. You know.
Oh, it's not one stage?
There's no way.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that would be like a week long.
Yeah, okay.
Like even the Chicago show, there was overlap. There was a stage downstairs and the stage upstairs.
Three stages, right?
Well, there was two, and I think the third one was being used for
DJs, yeah.
But there was, or maybe I could be wrong. I don't know. But there was like while we were playing another. I mean, How's the Heaven was playing while we played.
Yeah.
And then and I think they got the whole set was pushed, so they were playing like a lot while we were playing.
Oh shit.
Then they ended, and we were playing still like 3 to 4 songs left. So yeah, like even a
don't like
smaller
that.
fest, there's this. I
I
don't like that either.
Shit. I want
You have to pick and choose, and
See that Smalls just did that fest, Fixation, right? And they kind of, I kind of liked what they did, where it was like
there's just the one stage, right?
It's just the one stage and 6 bands. And
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's a festival because it's 6 people, and that's it. You
Yeah.
know? That's a good way.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to fucking book
I mean, stretching it
20
by saying
acts.
festival if you only have so many people.
Yeah, well, how many? It's like, when does it become a
I don't
fest
know.
versus a show? You know?
I would say double what they did, and maybe. I mean, I'm comparing it now to Sanctum, the thing we just did, the vampire thing, and I'd say there was twice as many people,
At that
bands.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, and then you've got like
Yeah, I guess if you have 2 stages, if you have a space big enough for, because they could have done 6 here and then 6 a different
yeah. Maybe
stage.
outside. I don't know if they only have the one stage at
That's true.
Smalls,
Yeah, we have to do a different.
but it's a good
stage.
sized stage, so
Yeah, I'm just saying it's smart not to overdo it either.
Yeah.
It's like you don't need 20 million bands.
Yeah,
and
what-
half of them you don't want to.
Also,
see.
what happens is that we could only play 40 minutes. We usually play 60. So
Right, I noticed that everybody's set times were like 35 minutes,
Yeah.
30 minutes.
we had 40, but everybody else underneath us, I think,
Same
was
thing
35.
with that. It was even less at that Sick New World.
Yeah,
It was like
right?
she passed away is on for like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's crazy.
Yeah, the headliners get like an hour.
Yeah, everybody
Or 40,
else. Everybody
yeah.
else is like half hour
Yeah.
maximum, I think. Or I don't know. Probably Nitzarab got more, but
I don't know. I mean, I think they're pretty low compared to what was there. It's System of a Down, and I think they were the
I
top
would
bill.
prefer to see.
System of a Down, man.
Yeah, not a fan.
Yeah, I mean, never.
I'm
really
sure it's
listened to
great
them.
live or something.
I was already out of. I mean, I was listening to some harsh shit by the time they came around.
Yeah, there's stuff that's way harsher than that.
Yeah. When you like talking about when you're young and listening to stuff and forming, like the stuff I was like, listening to when System of a Down came around, like showed up on the scene.
Yeah.
It was already like, this is too weak for my shit, man. Like this ain't.
When,
Probably like the early 2000s. I would think.
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I
Started
don't-
listening
yeah,
to
I
like
totally
Merzbow and White House.
Sure.
And fucking,
Yeah, it's hard to go from that
Yeah,
to like
and-
structured
Yeah,
metal,
and listen to like fucking
whatever it
Perfect
is.
Circle and whatever. I mean, I'm like, that's okay, I guess, but
Yeah,
fucking-
there was a whole generation of kids that got really into that,
yeah, because that was like the shit that
that they grew up on.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think when I was, let's say 16, I don't know if I listened to any band that was out at that time now. Everything I liked was older or had been around for a while, and maybe it was, people were making music then, but I don't know if there's like any band that I'm like, yeah, that was, they started. Yeah. No, I don't really listen to, I mean, there was stuff I listened to at the time, but not now,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember who, but everything I listened to was around for a while. There's still shit that I like that came out in the 2000s, I'm trying to think
I
of what
want
it
to
is.
say there's something probably
Yeah.
if I dig,
Yeah. I mean,
I was so in my own world at that time. Early 2000s, it was like making all that Delian stuff, and it was just
Yeah.
like I was not listening to much music, honestly.
yeah. I guess, sort of
It's just-
working on music.
Working on music, and at a certain point, it's like the reason why you make music is you don't hear the stuff that you
Yeah.
want to hear, so you just go, well, I want to hear this thing, and that's the reason for me to do events as well. Like I don't.
Sure.
All the people, they're doing great work and their events rock, but they're not exactly what I want. So I guess, I don't know, I just got to step in there and
Put it on.
put it on. Sometimes I think I just, you've seen a lot of shit. You start kind of curating the culture a little bit,
Yeah.
I think it's good to do that, Step in there. You have a developed taste, all those layers we talked about. Put them to good use instead of judging things in a good way, I guess. For
Yeah.
curation.
Yeah.
Curate. I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Somebody's got to do it.
Anyway, cool. Well, this is a good first pod back, I feel. You guys like and subscribe, as they say, and then we're playing June 7th, big show. Drew McDowall, Aaron Dillaway, Susie, Podblots, and us. Sort of a stacked deck show there
At the famed City Club.
at the famous Leland City Club.
We're playing Indiana, July.
We're playing Indiana.
Spellbound.
Indianapolis, yes. Playing Spellbound. We're hoping to get a couple other shows going on there. Chicago, maybe somewhere else.
Yeah. Maybe some with Bo in Chicago and
Yeah. And then probably stuff in the fall. And then you got stuff going on with Ritual Howls in the fall as well.
yeah.
So not until then, right? Or you guys do
Yeah,
that?
it's fall.
Fall, yeah.
And then we're working on that European
Right,
opening for Ritual Howls
That would be cool. Hopefully it comes together. It was like next February now.
early 25.
Early 25. I can't believe it's 25.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Basically just waiting for whoever to take over,
Yeah.
Singularity. Come on, Ray Kurzweil. Bring it. Yeah. And if you guys have any questions, see me and Chris around. You can, ask us. Hopefully we're not in a bad mood, that kind of thing. I don't know.
Still ask us.
No promises, All right.